My husband just loves me. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Black Love Elevated. Guys, we are elevating conversations around love, relationships, and real life experiences. Y'all already know it's tea time, and I'm here with my girls.
I'm Tobie.
I'm Ebony.
And I'm Ash.
So, before we get into the tea, y'all, I want to turn it over to Miss Ashley so she can tell you what Black Love Elevated is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Miss Ebony. So, welcome to
Mhm.
Black Love Elevated, guys. We're celebrating love, marriage, and relationship, and of course, real conversation. So, we basically help each other grow together. And BLE is more than a group. We're a community of couples and connections, and even event hosting and just honest dialogue. And Toby's gonna tell y'all a little bit more about those events that we was talking about. Child, go ahead, Miss Toby.
So basically, if you guys are watching this show tonight, this is your sign to stop talking about meeting new couples and just show up. We're going to be outside all summer long, making memories, having fun, keeping the vibes high. So don't miss out. Come outside, have some fun with us. Check the events tab.
Yes. So, now that we got that out the way, what I really want to talk about is today we're diving into the topic that affects so many families, but doesn't always get talked about, honestly. See, and that topic is blended families, y'all. Bringing two families together can be beautiful, but it can also bring challenges. Tonight we're asking, can love alone make a blended family work? So I kind of want to open up the floor to my ladies because this is a topic that's kind of out there, kind of see where we are with this. Can love alone make a blended family work? Ash.
Oh, that's a great question. So love alone for me, I don't think that it can. That's not the only aspect when you are talking about a blended family. And I think it would be great because our definition girl is here, Miss Toby. So as far as blended family, and you can go into it later, Toby. I ain't putting you on the spot,
Because I ain't looking
girl.
up yet.
No, you're fine. I was just saying that you the definition girl. But for me, what it means to be in a blended family would be someone that is coming into something, a family that has already been established and trying to figure out exactly where their place is in that. So is it a possibility? Um, Somewhat. It's difficult. It's very difficult, but it's doable. I would say for me in particular, we have a lot of blended familyness on our side of the family. So I think it's doable, but it just depends on the person. What about you, Tope?
So a blended family, Ash,
Thank
is
you.
formed when two adults come together in a relationship, marriage, or cohabitation, and at least one of them brings a child or children from a previous relationship into the household. And so, guys, like I'm gonna throw something else in there because I'm a pet lover. It also, you bringing your fur baby into the relationship too, and everybody don't like dogs. Everybody don't like cats. Everybody ain't got time for that, right? Including like having that dog or pet in the bed. So like that was one of the challenges that I had blending my little blended family. My husband was not feeling having the dog in the bed. So I had to buy a whole separate little, bed for my dog. But that's where I was used to my baby being in the bed. So that was a challenge for us to overcome. But I definitely do not think that, well, along with the kids important too, y'all. Like I had kids too. Let's not forget about them. But I definitely don't think that love alone can make a blended family work. It definitely takes more than that. It takes mutual respect. It takes a lot of communication. It takes a lot of willingness to open up and talk to the children and see, what do the children want? What do the children expect? And I think you have to be mature enough to allow your children to have the space to tell you what they're looking for and what they expect in the relationship or the person that you bring in too. So I definitely think it takes more than just love. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. What about you, Ed?
Well, I kind of agree with you guys. It definitely takes more than just love. It takes respect. It takes all of those things that you guys are talking about. But maybe the question should be, should your spouse love your children the same way that they love the other children? How about we
Ooh,
spin it just a little bit? I mean, because when we talk about equal situations. You're bringing this child into the family. How does that look as far as how you love one over the other? Ashley, I'll let you jump into that one
Oh,
first.
So I personally think that's probably one of the that's a great question. And it's probably one of the biggest challenges that I've seen with folks who have that type of a blended family where you're bringing my child and your child, and then now we have to show the same love. I think that's why we go back to love has to be, it's not the foundational piece, it's about respect too. Because it takes a lot to get my kids, for you to love my kids just as much, especially if it's a child that you haven't raised or haven't been around.
Mhm.
Right? I was like, this is just one of them little hood, you got to really feel a different way about a person's child. So that alone is a challenge. And I think that a lot of people have their children close to their heart. Um,
Mhm.
Figuring out how you can also take this child that would be considered like a stepchild, and putting them in that same perspective, because I've seen it where folks are saying that you don't do my child this way, or you've done my child.
Mhm.
One of the biggest arguments in blended families is how you are treating the other person's child, and is it equal? So what do you think, Eb? Or yeah, Eb, what about you?
Well, at the end of the day, for me, children deserve to feel equally valued. You don't want to
Mhm.
start separating feelings, because a lot of times I think those emotions come into play because of the feelings behind the absent spouse. You understand what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So, because you may be in your feelings, maybe about that spouse that's not there, maybe you're treating that child away. Or how did that child come into the family? Was it out of wedlock, or was it just a blended situation where you came in with children, I came in with children? But favoritism can create lasting hurt. So we have to be careful with that and make sure that we protect these children, because once you get into a mental space up there, it's kind of hard to reverse that when children grow into things. And when we're talking about values and things of that nature, these are things that are instilled in you from the ages of 8 to 12. So what are you really projecting into this child based off your own personal feeling versus what's best for the child? What do you think,
Mhm.
Tobie?
I think the immediate response when somebody asks, do you expect your spouse to love your children the same way they love theirs? The immediate response, obviously, yeah, of course. I feel like you should give them the same amount of love. But I do think that love and connection they're not always the same. If the
Mm.
children, especially like if the children don't live in the home with the blended family, like how can I can't establish a fake relationship with them because they're not here. But what I can expect and what my spouse can expect is that I will give them the same amount of respect, protection, consistency, and effort, because genuine love and relationships, it can't really be forced. It has to be something that grows. That's what I
And you
think.
know what, Tobie? You're absolutely correct. It can't be forced. So if you know that you're getting into a situation where the opposite person has children and now we're creating a family together, that takes work. That takes being
Mm-hmm.
intentional. That means you have to start to try to build this bond in order
Right.
to develop that relationship that you want everybody to feel comfortable in. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Yes, a lot of sense.
So I'm going
Mhm.
to spin it just a little bit. Now, we're still talking about these blended families, but what happens when one parent disciplines and the other disagrees? How does that work? Because a lot of times we have these blended families and situations, they come into the household, but how do you handle the disciplinary portion of that blended family?
Ooh, I can definitely
Mhm.
start. For me, woo, that's a tough question, child. But I would say this: you
It is.
you can't ask your spouse to help you raise your children and then treat them like they're a stranger. You
Right.
can't. It's not possible. But there may be limitations with that relationship. Just thinking about the other parent as well. There has to be, our favorite word, boundaries somewhere in there. And it may not, your relationship or how you raise your children or how you discipline your children may not meet the needs or be the same way as your spouse. So, what does that look like for you? Because now you're also learning a different way to parent. Um, that's probably going to be the key for most people, is learning that it's more than one parenting style that you would have to adjust to. But I definitely think that you should give your, if you want your spouse to have some sort of respect from your child, giving them some sense of leeway there to correct them when need be. What about you, Tobie? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think that your spouse should be able to discipline your child or correct your child. I think that there has to be, though, a relationship established first, right? You can't come into the disciplining or meeting the child, and the only thing only time that child ever hears from you is if you're correcting them. Oh, don't do this, don't do that. Go sit over here, go do this. There has to be a relationship that's built first. And then I think once you get to know that child, maybe you can even understand why that child is doing whatever it is they're doing, and you can know how to communicate with that child to make it better. But I think the flip side of that is, I believe that you should be able to, you should be able to, I was raised with getting spanked, right? And we're talking about like little kids. I ain't talking about no big kids, right? So I got whoopings in my house growing up. So I think that if I have my child go over to my ex's home, right, where they have their blended family, because we're just thinking about our blended family. What about that blended family that's over there? Are they allowed to now spank my child? Is that person allowed to do that? And I want to say yes, because I feel like they should have that same amount of whatever's happening over here should be happening over there. And as long as we're communicating, I think that's okay. However, what if she got an issue with me or whatever, and now she's abusing my child? Like, I think that's really hard. I can control what's happening in my home, but what about this other blended family over here that's taking place?
Well, see, that's the thing. You can't control what you can't control, right? And I think that's where it comes into the trust. It comes into the communication, and it comes into having a mutual understanding as to how this blended family looks. It's not something that we can jump into because we're talking about children. These are your kids that you birthed, right? And say, okay, I'm just going to throw them out there. No, we need to be able to sit down as adults, discuss how this looks, how this sounds, what's acceptable and what's not. And sometimes even parenting needs to be discussed amongst each other before we actually act, right?
Exactly.
So let's have a conversation. And in my opinion, when you step into a situation, especially when it's a new situation, right? We're talking about blended families here. You have to do some observation. Okay, let me observe what little Johnny is doing. Let me see how he moves, some of the things he likes, some of the things that maybe he dislikes, because now what I feel like I need to do is tailor my style as a parent to fit this child's need. Now, I'm not talking about discipline because they're still children and I'm still the adult, but they have feelings as well. And our job is to tap into that so that we can adapt. That would be my opinion and my advice to some of these people out here that's jumping into these blended families and understanding the difference between respect and boundaries.
Yeah, I agree. And also just to this point, a step parent, they can't be expected to be a parent and have a responsibility and just give them roommate authorities. Like that's not gonna work. So also just to respond to you, Tobie, I mean, I get it. Again, you and your family may discipline your child that way, but me personally, my family does not discipline, maybe verbally, they may chastise, but as far as spankings and all that stuff, no. Like, let me handle that as a parent. So I really think that that's where the compromise is going to come in with the parents. With me saying, no, that's a boundary for me. Absolutely not. And there's just some things as a step parent, you're going to have to say, no, that's not acceptable. And people have the right to say, that kid is bad as hell. He can't come over my house then. Hey, that's just what it is. But to me, that's just what a blended family looks like. And people have to learn how to respect those specific boundaries set up by the different parents and how they feel and what they think, regardless. But to me, that's more of that parenting style that we have been, I think, talking about than just the standard, you do what I say and how we do, and this is what we used to type of thing.
Absolutely. So at the end of the day, what you ladies are saying, it's about boundaries, respect, communication, and having limitations as to what you're willing to accept within your child. But here's where I spin it. Oh, you ladies thought that it was just going to go there. Y'all already know this thing is going to get a little juicy. So my question now is, who should come first? We all hear about these blended families. Who should come first in a blended family, your spouse or your children? Now, y'all know what I'm talking about. We got these families out here in these blended situations where maybe the woman or the man came in with a child, right? Who comes first? It's a lot of jealousy and things that happen in there. Who comes first? The spouse or the child? Let's
But
get
what are we
real.
talking about? Come first with what? Like,
Period.
I feel like it's,
Oh, so if you've ever been in a
I
blended
feel like it's different.
situation, yeah, it can be different, but what comes first? So if I want to do something, but my child is screaming, daddy, daddy, or mommy, mommy, I want to do this. How does that work? Or I want to go here. And as a parent, I'm saying, no, we're going to go here. But now the mom or the dad, because it can go either way, says, no, well, we're going to do this because little Joe wants to do this. And they're catering to that versus looking at the whole situation. Now, I got my own opinions, but I want to hear yours. What's your thoughts, Ash?
Well, I mean, you can let Tobie go because you already opened up the gate, Tobie. So go ahead.
She said she didn't damn know. She said she is different
No,
situations.
I know.
We're gonna give her
It is. It's definitely different situations. But I do feel like when I pick my spouse hoping that my spouse will put my children first, right? And so I would hope that my spouse, if little Johnny wants to go over here or little Johnny wants to do X, Y, Z, my spouse would look at it like, okay, let's let little Johnny do whatever, and let's make time for little Johnny to get little Johnny's way, and then we have our time to do what we want to do, and that way there's no conflict of interest. Ain't nobody arguing over what's happening. Everybody has time to do what they want to do, and it is what it is. Now we talking about who we saving. If somebody's falling off a cliff, I'm saving little Johnny. I'm sorry.
I get that perspective. What's yours, Ash?
Yeah, so I definitely think that there has to, when you're coming into the situation and you're talking about my spouse and then you're talking about my child, I also look at it from a married perspective, right? I am going to be my child is eventually going to get married, go do their own thing, right? I want my spouse to also feel respected in all of this. So for me, it's not that I would put my spouse first, but we would have to learn again that whole compromise situation. We would have to push for that because I can't really say which one would go first. It's just a hard thing to say. Yes, my child needs to have what they need, but all the time my kid don't get what they want from out of me. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like, look, not today. We ain't doing it. Does my spouse have the right to feel the same way? Yes. And that's the realism. And sometimes you have to get out your feelings. I hate to say that, but we do when it comes to that. And it's the question back to you guys is, does that cause issues when you are in your feelings and you were not thinking about the entire picture, right? Of this is my spouse. This is not just my boyfriend. This is a person who is catering to this relationship, catering to us as a family together. And they have the right to get frustrated. They have the right to speak their mind. Now, as a parent, you need to also have those your antennas up to know whether some things are a little flaky or not. You know, like, wait a minute, we're going a little too far. But I think people have the right to be people. And for me, it's not really a one over the other type of situation.
Well, what I'm going to say is don't be getting jealous of the children. Okay. Yes, the children want to do what they need to do, but the kid don't always get to do what they need to do. At the end of the day, that child going to grow up. Now, what's supposed to happen to this relationship and this family? Okay, it needs to be some type of boundaries. Like, little Johnny, you may have this day, but just because little Johnny caused a tantrum and acts out, don't mean he get to do what he want to do. But again, I guess that's about communication. But again, right. I say, as I tell my children, well, you're going to have to leave. And when you leave, what me and dad's supposed to be doing? Everything is not based around you. The world does not revolve around you. And I think we need to be real with these children because it's still those boundaries. Like, hold on. Just because you in this situation don't mean you get to make all the rules. Now they are running the household versus the parents running the situation and the children, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, y'all got any kickback on that?
And you said something right there. And I think that's another thing too. And why yes, sorry, my camera completely blinked out there. But I was responding to you, Eb, and saying that you said something right there as far as with the children kind of taking advantage of the situation. I've seen that happen before. You know, kids can take advantage of certain situations, especially when it comes to that blended family aspect. So I think you also have to know your child as well, and also set those boundaries with your children as well.
Well, I'm going to ruffle one more feather because this is what's coming out there. They have been inboxing us. We have been talking about different things. And it kind of made me say, now we're talking about these blended families, right? should your ex still have access to your home? Like, do they get to have a say in what's going on in your household? Do they get to have that much control, or how much control can they have? Blended family.
Go ahead.
Tobie.
0. No,
Tobie,
absolutely the
it
fuck not.
on you. What you say?
Absolutely the fuck not. No,
No,
I'm
what?
sorry. I don't. No, your ex should not have say over what goes on in your home at all. No.
Your ex should not have no say. Well, I can see your point on that, but how well is the communication if they don't have a say? I think those feelings, you see how easy it is to say absolutely the fuck not, no, versus saying, well, what kind of say would you like to have? What do we need to discuss that will make this situation better, not only for the adults, but for the children? Just another thought, but Ash, what's yours?
Yeah, so I've seen this a lot, and man, I agree with you, Tobie, to a certain extent, because I'm out of my feelings right now. Okay, catch me in my
Okay.
feelings a couple weeks from now, right? But but I think that it depends on the situation that we're talking about. Listen to me, hear me out,
True.
Tobie. Hear me out. Okay. Now, if we're talking about again going to the discipline side, what does that look like for the other parent? Because this is now, it may be a duo there, but that also is a trio situation when you're talking about disciplining somebody else's child. Because I know that children may learn something, you could confuse children quickly, right? So you may do something over there, but you can't do it over here. And now I don't want to go to mama house because she won't let me do it, or daddy let me do it. And now what's happening is that blended family isn't working because there's so much division. And whether we like it or not, that person is a part of the family because that's your child's mother. Now, me personally, there are boundaries when it comes to that. And when outside of the child, there's nothing else to be said. But there has to be some sort of a clean cut compromise when you're talking about, again, somebody disciplining my child. What does that look like? Because if I don't spank my child, it's probably a no-go for me at your house. You're not about to spank my child because I don't believe in that type of discipline. And that runs deep for some people. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are on, what is it called right now? Like the gentle parenting thing. Like, a lot of people find that to be a serious topic. So that is a sense of control. If a person is like, hey, I'm in my gentle parenting era, I don't want my child to have any spankings or anything like that. Y'all gonna have to learn how to communicate better with my child.
Well, Frank
What do you
Ski
do?
just said on the radio just the other day, gentle parenting, he said that shit don't really work. But like you said, you may not spank your child as a form of discipline. So I think the conversation really lies between what form of discipline do we put into application to make sure that the disciplinary is still there and this child is still following some rules and guidelines as to what this looks like.
Do you think that a child, and Tobie, you can answer this. Do you think that gentle parenting in that setting is better?
In what setting? In a blended family setting?
Yes. Yes. Do you feel like that's better? Because if going back to what I was just saying, like, literally, we're talking about my child. I don't say, for instance, I don't whoop my child, and I'm standing strong on this, right? But the father's like, you know what? This is what we want to do. This is how we want to handle it. Do you think that the setting of gentle parenting for the child's sake, the parents, and all that stuff, do you think it's better than having the physical discipline?
Well, let's be clear. First of all, gentle parenting is bullshit. My children, they get cussed the fuck out and they get whipped. Okay, so let's be clear on that. So, but because I guess I struggle with maybe the other person in the home, whoever this ex is dating or married to. Yeah, let's say married to, because whoever they dating probably can't really have no say in nothing. But whoever they're married to, should do gentle parenting, maybe. And then my ex, the child's father, nah, fuck that. Ain't no gentle parenting.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you
Well,
think,
you
Ed?
don't have to gentle parent, but you ain't got to beat the hell out of a child. You don't have to abuse a child for it not to be gentle parenting. I'm talking about some of these relationships. Oh, little Johnny, it's okay. Please put that back. No, if you
Yeah,
keep
no.
touching that, I'm going to whoop that ass, and I need to be crystal clear with you. But, that just looks a lot of different ways. For me personally, and I'm just going to get personal. A lot of times I don't when we go live, but I come from a blended family. I came in with my son. I am married. I have been married almost 25 years. Now, again, I go back to the fact of trust. I trust my husband. I brought him into my family and I married him with the sense that now I trust you, not just with me, as I saw a comment that came up from Josh that says, it's a package deal. So now that I trust you with this, I trust you to treat my child how you would treat your child. So if he needs to get his ass whooped, then I believe and I trust you enough to whoop his ass in a way that's not going to be abuse. Now we're not going to have a child protective services case because he's going to school with all kind of lashes and black eyes and things of that nature. I think it's about how far we go between the fact of discipline and abuse. But discipline needs to happen because that's why society is the way it is. And these kids are doing what the hell they want to do. And then they start running you and whipping your ass. Now that's a whole nother segment, but I'm just saying you need to have some type of discipline. And sometimes the soft parenting doesn't always work, but it looks like we got a comment on here. Can we read that comment?
Yeah, Vince says, studies have found that children who are disciplined without physical punishment are on average less likely to develop aggression, anxiety, and behavior problems. Physical punishment may stop a behavior in the moment because the child wants to avoid getting hit, but it doesn't necessarily teach why the behavior was wrong or what to do instead.
So Vince trying to say, I got anxiety because my mom whooped my ass. I got you, Vince.
No, but I do agree with what Vince is saying. I mean, I think it's a whole different conversation that we would have, physical versus whatever. But I do agree but I think that it could be both. I think you whip that child's ass and then explain why they got their ass whipped and what they should have done better. Just my opinion.
But guess what? You can really mess a child up. It doesn't have to be physical abuse. Let me tell you, that verbal abuse hit a lot harder. How you treat that child hits a lot harder. How you break a child down to make them feel less than because maybe they are a part of the outside of the blended family. They're not your actual birth child. That hits harder. So that all matters. That's why it's called physical abuse, verbal abuse. It's a lot of different types of abuse, but we're not just talking about abuse. We're talking about discipline. Right. How far will you go? How far you expect it to go? And those two things can be kind of crossed over, in my opinion. Right. I see you thinking, Ash, what's on your mind?
So for me, I feel like to build trust, and I know a couple of people are in blended families, and one way that they operate is that building trust with that child, becoming, having that disciplinary action, not physical, but on a verbal level, being able to talk with them and communicate and being able to kind of be a middle ground for them, right? So a lot of times, this young lady had stated to me that the child comes to her and discuss things that, she may have issues with her mother or with her father and different things of that nature. So to me, the way she handles like, nah, you're wrong for doing that. It kind of puts balance into that relationship where the child feels comfortable with you versus you coming in swinging and like, oh, I'm going to do what I need to do. This is how I handle my children and all this other stuff. I think building some sort of relationship without physical punishment or even verbal punishment is the best way because you're getting to know that child as well, just like you're in your new relationship and in this new family. So my child has to trust you just as much as I trust you, because you can best believe there are some things, maybe if it's not a happy blended relationship, there's some things probably being said about you. You have to really change that child's thought process about who you are. And that's first bringing them in and creating a sense of trust. What do you think about that, Eb?
Well, I agree with you 100%. But at the end of the day, as we wrap up this topic here, but before I wrap it up, we got another comment. This one is hitting, and this is coming from Vince as well. He says many parents were raised with whoopings and feel they turned out fine. While that's true for many individuals, research looking at the large groups of children, generally find that physical punishment doesn't provide benefit beyond other forms of discipline and is associated with more negative outcome over time. And I absolutely agree with him on that, because when you are in your mind, and I'm not just talking about children, I'm talking about adults as well, and you're trapped in your mind with a feeling, it can become a dark place, you know. So being able to have that open line of communication, that open door to be able to have courageous conversations, I think that it's very much so needed. But like I said again, blended families don't have to be perfect. That's what I need everybody on this line to understand. They have to be intentional, not perfect, but intentional. Love grows through trust, patience, communication, and consistency. At the end of the day, every family looks different, but every child deserves to feel safe, respected, and loved. That's what we're elevating today on Black Love Elevated. And we want to make sure that that message is crystal clear. So as we talk about blended families, it's time to switch gears. We're talking about this pop culture. You already know I'm switching it up. Blended families, we talked about, right? Women, men holding down situations that come their way. Have y'all been seeing all that trending news and all that stuff going on online? I don't know if I want to call it blended families. I don't know if I want to call it polygamy. I don't know what I want to call it, but Ash, can you please open up the door on this one?
Let's have some fun, ladies. So today for the pop culture topic, we're talking about the polygamist. If you haven't seen it, the show follows a man who's in a relationship with multiple women that start coming to light. So it opens up a lot of conversation about marriage, secrets, cheating, sisterhood, power, and what women are expected to accept. We kind of talked about that last week a little bit. So we're not here to just talk about the drama of the show. We're talking about what it makes us as far as in real life. So some of the questions and how we would like to steer this topic is to just talk about the show in itself. So I'm going to pass it over to Tobie and tell me what you think about the show so far. What are your thoughts on, first, the definition for you, right? Let's start there. Let's start with the definition of what this show is about, the polygamist. What does that mean, Tobie?
Okay, so I think it's might be fair to say, though, guys, before I talk about this definition, that if you haven't seen it and you really want to see it, just be aware that there might be a couple of little spoilers in here. So, just so you know, you might want to, I don't know. But in traditional, so it's an African show, okay? So that's why we're going to go off of what the African traditional definition. In traditional African cultures, polygamy is a highly valued social and economic institution. Rather than just a romantic arrangement, it traditionally functions as a community structure to build wealth, forge alliances between the clans, and ensure societal survival in harsh environments. Also, it requires strict consent and dowry, economic cooperation, equitable provision, the seniority system, and separate property and autonomy. So, with that being said, I think the polygamist was some bullshit. Okay, let's start there. I think that it was not consensual polygamy. I think that this man was just being greedy. He just wanted to have all these women. And even in the show, it shows that he was just thinking with his penis. He just was like out here trying to just, whoever made him feel some kind of way, he was going to get with them. And he wasn't thinking about the repercussions or the consequences or anybody else, or how it was going to affect anybody else, even the children. So I will start there. Ed, what you think about the show in general?
Well, based off what I saw and the definition that you gave, that wasn't polygamy. There was no understanding. There was no communication. There was no boundaries. There was no, agreements as to this is what I'm signing up for. Show me the contract where I signed up for this, and this is what I'm agreeing to. That wasn't the case. But I do believe it led to polygamy. We could jump into that a little bit later, but it definitely didn't motherfucking start as polygamy because Miss Joyce, wife number one, did not know anything as to what was going on for the Mr. What was his name? Jonas?
Right. Jonas.
Yeah, he was
Gamora.
definitely
Gamora.
leading with his penis, doing what the fuck he wanted to do, screwing any and everything that came his way. And he had this cocky kind of attitude. So polygamy, I don't think it started that way. Did he incorporate them into that? I think it led them. We could talk about it a little bit more, but Ash ain't off the hook. What you think?
First of all, I love that show. It was so good, y'all. Like, oh my God, that was so good. I promise you, I seen all the comments about people staying up until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Honey, I was right
Yes.
with you. Several days
Yes.
where I woke up late for work. Okay, let's start there. It's a great, great show. And if you haven't watched it, go watch it on Netflix, child. That's the
Go
first thing.
watch it.
The second thing is, no, it did not make me angry at my husband at all watching that show. I love my man and he don't do stuff like that. So I'm good.
Right.
But from my perspective, very disrespectful. And no, that was what from what Tobie read, the definition, that clearly was not a poly relationship, right? It just wasn't. I told y'all I can't even say it because it's not for me, right?
It don't even feel right, like polypolygamous. You can't even get it out. What are we talking about?
That's the Lord. He told me to stay away from that. But no, as far as being in a poly relationship, from his definition and what he's saying, because y'all, there are different levels to poly relationship and what he considered, and him and his wife. That was not it. It didn't start that way. I don't think that it ended that way. No, it was a complete disaster. And I think that for women in particular, I just personally don't think that as a woman, I don't think that I could have handled it in the way Joyce handled it at all. Until the end. But before that.
Don't jump to the end, Ash. Let's talk about Joyce. You said her damn name, Joyce. What do you think? How look at Joyce when you start watching this movie? When you think about being a woman, being in a marriage, they've been married for many years. They had children. It's some of the things that we talk about every day on Black Love Elevated. How do you think she handled herself? Do you think that she lowered her standards? How do you think? I mean, I don't even want to give you no more. What you think about Joyce?
Tobie?
So I think my first impression, right, beginning of the show, I'll be honest, in the beginning, I was so mad at her. I was screaming at the TV. Oh my God, I wanted to choke the shit out of her. I was like, girl, stand up, fight back, ask fucking questions. Like, stop accepting this bullshit. Like, I was so mad at her. And then when she called herself grabbing his leg and letting him drag her, oh my God, y'all.
Jonas, don't go.
I was like,
snap her ass back and DDT her.
What are you doing? Yeah. So like my first impression of her, I was so pissed, but I was glad when she finally stood up. What you got? What y'all think?
I don't know. I'm telling you, because I was up all night too, Ash. I was up in the middle of the damn night. I couldn't let it go. At first, I was like, "Ooh, this may be a little bit bad acting. I don't know if I could get into it." But the storyline, when we're talking about Joyce, for me in the beginning, came off as a strong wife, supportive wife, helped her husband build this business, do all of these things. But I'll say it, and I'll say it to him blue in the face, stand for something or fall for anything. My love. Like, where do you put your foot down on your respect, on the body of work that you put in for your relationship, your marriage? You don't just let this man just do you any kind of how and you accept it. So no, it didn't start out as polygamy. She came off as strong, but then weak as hell at the same time for me. Miss Joyce. I'm talking about Miss Joyce. We got 20 more minutes to get into the rest of the show. But Miss Joyce in the beginning, and I say beginning, girl, what you got going on? What the fuck? All caps, 72 font, highlighted, underlined, all that good shit.
Yeah.
Ash.
Okay. All right. Let me play devil's advocate for a second. Okay. So we always talk about marriage and all that stuff. So what about from Joyce's perspective of trying to keep her marriage together? Yes, and that's why I'm saying this, because there are some people who believe this, right? Especially we're in Black Love Elevated space, so let's talk about it. In some spaces, people believe that what she was doing would be considered fighting for her marriage. She wouldn't get the divorce even when he was with old girl, whatever. Because y'all remember when the first episode was, he was knocking her through the roof. On the first episode, he was knocking Miss Ma'am out. She went to her house, and guess what happened? she's like, hey, we going to our 20th anniversary, blah, blah, blah. She kept operating in the aspect of being marriage. And going back to what you guys were saying about her holding on to his leg, kind of like that Tyler Perry moment, that to me is because in her head, she was fighting for what she thought was her marriage. She didn't know about all the others, which we'll get into shortly. She thought she was just, battling in the moment, this young woman who took her husband from her and she wanted to get his love back. So my question for y'all is like, in the stages of marriage, people do believe that married people are willing to go this far. I think that's where she was thinking. That's what she was thinking. What do you guys think about that?
I think that at first, yes, I agree with you. You should definitely, I'm not saying just throw away your marriage. I think that there should be a line that you have to draw, though. There should be a point where you come to when disrespect is just disrespect. Like he got totally disrespectful. I think at first, if he gave my man was cheating. All right, let's try to work through this. Let's figure this out. Okay. I went to the woman, she knew about us, whatever now, because okay. But I think it's levels. I think it's definitely levels to the disrespect. Like we talked about in a previous podcast, there are levels to the disrespect that you have to be willing to accept. And he crossed all them levels. I'm sorry, he crossed them all. What you think, Eb?
Well, he definitely crossed the levels. It was definitely not polygamy. Polygamy is an understanding. It's a mutual respect. You take care of everybody. He was a fucking asshole. He was, let's just put it out there. He was a cheater. He was not a man that was holding it down, because I've been educated. As we jump into this, I think it turned into polygamy, right? Because then, as he saw Joyce fighting for him, fighting for the marriage, okay, look, Jonas, you ain't leaving. Oh, we built this. I've helped you build this. You was nothing. All of this good jazz. Okay, maybe it's cheaper to keep her. Maybe that's the thought that he had. And then he started to put some respect on Joyce. Ash, can we talk about that? When the tables kind of flipped?
Oh, you're talking about when she agreed to the whole situation?
She's the one that brought it
out
to
there. Yeah.
She said, look, this woman ain't going away. What's her name? Matipa? What's her name?
Matipa.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. She definitely did. She definitely was the person who kind of pushed the whole situation. She was pushing it. I think that in that moment, and what you're talking about, Eb, is when she decided that I'm going to take control of the situation. Right? Mm-hmm. I've been allowing him to do whatever he wants to do. I'm going to continue to let him think. But she was like, you know what? I'm going to take control of the situation. Me personally, I don't agree with how she did it, but that goes back to what I was saying about in her mind, she's formulating all these plans to try to keep her marriage together. So the base of what she was doing, yeah, she bossed all the way up and was like, I'm gonna give you what you want. But was it a clean reason of why you decided to do that? Why she decided to change over and change her whole ideology?
I think it was about her image too, though. But I think it was about her image too that she was trying to keep out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, she wasn't going to win. She got her own brand going on. She's looked at crazy. Okay. She has status. I mean, come on. At the end of the day, she was like, okay, I think that's when you sit as a woman and you say, okay, how can I make this work? And not just work, but how does it work for me? This man is already out here and got me looking crazy. What do I need to do? Okay. Well, guess what? I'm going to accept her. Jonas, you go ahead and bring her into the fold, but I am the main wife. It will go how I say, and either she's going to follow the rules or not. And that's where the storyline changed.
And it definitely did, for sure. And I think to that point, as far as with Joy, she felt when they were sitting at the table and everybody came over, honey, she felt a sense of power in that moment. And I think that she started formulating a lot of her plan as she went on. But there was a lot of things thrown at her during this show that I don't think that she was prepared for. You know what I mean?
Like what?
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
Oh, one thing. Well, I don't want to go too far. I don't want to go too far.
No, say it. We into it.
I would personally think, let's just say with the kids, right? And deciding that, well, that was actually right before because it was a whole baby shower situation that she didn't know about. So I think that
Ah,
also kind of set in her, yeah, I forgot about that, honey, when he threw that whole baby shower in the backyard and all that other stuff. So that kind of put her in motion too to take back control of it. But I will say, another piece that was thrown at her was probably him seeing the way he treated his own children. That was a big thing for her, and I think a huge turning point because I don't think she expected for him to be such a horrible person towards me and my children, because he was god awful to all of his children. Didn't matter who the baby mama was, he was terrible to his own kids. I think that was a huge turning point, especially when he jumped on his son. I think another one was finding out about the other wives and just on and on and on. So she had a lot of obstacles thrown at her during the entire show. Even the fact with the sister finding out that the brother is not even married to the woman that you got on.
darling,
My husband's married.
what the fuck? He
What?
was just he was the man.com. Sir, we need to bring you down to a different level because I felt so bad for not the third wife, because Matifa thought she was the second wife, but she was really the third wife. But the second wife and that daughter, when we talk about what will happen to a child when they're in a space by themselves and how that can mentally fuck them up, I need you to understand what I'm saying. That young lady, I felt so bad for her, not for what she did. I
Yes.
know a lot of people will view her as, oh, she may have just been a little hoe. She wanted to sleep with the sister's man. She tried to kiss her own uncle. That girl was trying to find love from her daddy. That
Yes.
girl knew what was going on. That girl saw, she sat at the table when they did family pictures, and he said, no, not you.
Yes.
Sit your ass back. I mean, come on, can we talk about that?
And I mean, you're right about. Go ahead, Tobie. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, I agree. Like the amount of hurt that she had to, and could you imagine having to live with that? Like this person that I love, she loved her father, but also he was the person that was hurting her so deeply. Like the struggle, the inner turmoil that she had to go through with her whole life, like that just had to be. And then not being able to say anything and having to be around these people that you're seeing all the amount of love and everything that they're getting. It, God, that poor baby. Like I hurt for her.
Respect. That man made me want to choke slam him, making that girl feel that way. Like, come on, sir. If you're gonna have this situation, you don't put these kids through that. But the moment it got out, darling showed some other lights, and again, she was going through hurt. She didn't know which way she was going to ask. What's your thoughts about that? Because I know we discussed this.
We did. But before we go into that, I got to bring up one thing that we have not thought about or talked about in totality in that situation, because I think what Tobie said and you makes total sense. But we need to hold the mama accountable for this bullshit too. Okay.
Yes.
And
Which
nobody
mama?
is really the
girl mama.
The first whatever the hell.
Essie was the
Yeah,
second
Essie.
wife.
Yeah, Essie. Her.
That's her
Sarah's
name.
mother.
Yeah, yes, she needs to be held accountable for this. And I think that's a big thing that we have to talk about is where the accountability actually lies. I think she did start to take accountability when she took her to the doctor and was trying to teach her how to let go of that hurt and all that other stuff. But it took her too long to get there. Okay.
Damn right.
It ain't no way I'm gonna have my kids lying like that and then had the nerve to call that girl a liar and all that. Oh, she lied. Bitch. Are you serious right now?
First of
She's
all,
learning by example.
Essie played off like she was Joyce's fucking friend. Come on, you in my face every day. Meanwhile, you're the real second wife, pretending to be married to my brother, keeping the kids separate, and she wasn't even living a lavish life. I thought being a polygamist means everybody is treated equally. You take care of all households the same way, the same level of respect. It looked like she was living in a little shack and they was living in a mansion, darling.
Yeah, you basically taught your child to accept bullshit. Yeah.
What are you training the young lady to do and accept? Great point, Tobie.
Yeah. And I do think, okay, y'all, somebody else go.
Okay. No problem. But yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, I think that she taught her daughter how to deal with disrespect. She definitely taught her daughter how to deal with disrespect, in a horrible way. Like, this is how we're gonna get, you're gonna be disrespected in life, and this is how you take it. And not only did you have that, you had other men coming in and outside the house as well. You pretending to be married to this one. She had no idea what was right in a relationship or what a true relationship looked like. Because her whole life was built on a lie. Everything around her, from her parent, her uncle was not her father. That's a lie. Her mother was married to, but sleeping with this man, and also her aunt's best friend. Like, what? Her stepmother, excuse me, best friend, and all this other shit. That shit was a lie. Then you get this happened. I mean, it was so many things that built this young lady up to be this person. I just personally think she has a lot more healing to do on the second season, child. They need to show her whole healing process, because that little
It's
witch
gonna be
doctor, that
another
was cute,
season.
but we need to be real about it. We need a little bit more.
It's gonna be
Well, I
another
tell you
season.
what. Well, I don't know about that, Tobie, but what I want to do, we can't leave this goddamn segment without fast forwarding to you thought you won. You thought you were smarter. Miss Joyce took her stance, because how that shit flipped, I don't think you said spoilers, Tobie, but how did it flip when Joyce actually took command? Actually, you had to bring me into the loop of this, because I fell asleep in between episode 16 and 18, and I believe it was episode 17 where the young lady knocked on the door. Knock, knock, knock. You remember that one? That was the chick that he had the little stand with that gave him the HIV. It was the long-lasting motherfucking drill. Talk about it.
We talking about when she paid the woman to, well, I don't know if she paid her or not, but she set her friend up to go over there and give him AIDS, punish him eternally, forever, severely, to the utmost. Ain't no cure, ain't no coming back from this, bro. You might can get cured for gonorrhea, but ain't no coming back from this.
She said, and at the coffin, she said, motherfucker, you thought you were smarter, you motherfucker. I don't know. Revenge is a horrible thing, guys. Listen, when you in your head all by yourself, a scorned woman, a blank space in your mind is a terrible place to be. You don't want to fuck with a scorned woman. They will start formulating a goddamn plan and play, and there will be no flags. I promise you, because how she had an old girl come over there, she knew he wouldn't be able to resist. Sleep with him, and then Mr. Jonas, how did that shit end? Oh, yeah. Can we talk about the ending? Can we take them and fast forward to the goddamn end?
I feel like there's so much in between, but yes. So like, I feel like it was crazy how even in the end, when this man is at the funeral, like they still beefing. Like, why are we still fighting over this motherfucker? He's dead. Like, we arguing over who gets to put him in the grave and all of this. That was crazy. But I feel like for me, that scene brought up for me why it was so hard for Joyce to not forgive, but to work with. Because I felt like, honestly, if they would have all worked together, they could have been like, they could have demolished that nigga and that man, sorry, and took him for everything he had, right? But I feel like for Joyce, if I'm in her shoes, it was so hard for her to work with Esty as opposed to Matipa, because she knew what she was getting with Matipa. She knew going in, okay, this she's a hoe. She came into it, broke up my marriage or whatever. She was a housebreaker or whatever. But Esty was my friend. You know, I trusted you, and you knew all of this was going on, and you stood in my face and interacted with me and just lied to me for years and years. And I think she was more hurt with Esty, so she just couldn't let that shit slide.
Ash,
What y'all think?
you're muted. Hit
Yeah,
your
you're
mute
muted,
button,
Ash.
darling. So I know, because you have your mute on, but Ash is going to get that together. But the thing of it all is in this situation, you have what we're talking about is the polygamous, right? Being in a poly relationship. Let's not get it misconstrued. As you stated, Tobie, a real polygamy relationship is about mutual understanding, respect, and we're all on the same page. We all signing a contract to be treated equally. You can have up to 5 wives. That's what it states. A lot of Muslims, the African culture, they believe in this. It's okay because we have a lot of different communities out here, and we're not here to judge that community. But what we're talking about is, how do you live in that and still have your sanity? How do you live in that and not want to take a motherfucker out like Joyce did because she done put boric acid and she done sent motherfucking AIDS his way? She done did everything because she was a scorned woman.
Yeah.
So I got a couple of questions for the audience. I'm going to read these questions off because what I would like to hear in the comments, and Ash, you're still muted. What I want to hear in the comments is honesty enough to make polygamy acceptable? Question number 1. Could you ever be wife number 2 if everyone knew? Question number 2. Could you share your husband if everybody needs was met? Question number 3. I'm going to give you just 2 more questions. Is jealousy natural or learned? That's the toughest one for me. I don't know if it's really natural or learned. You know, we start talking about values and skills and what can be taught and what can't be and what's untaught. I don't know. But are people simply not meant for monogamy? I mean, some people just need to have my man, my man, my man. And some people can say, okay, well, as long as he's taking care of me, I'm good. You know, I'm not going to worry about that. What's your thoughts? I can't wait to hear these comments because it's a real life situation. It's a lot of communities out here that believe in this, that have the values wrapped around this. But it's not about what everybody else feels. It's what's happening in your household. What's happening in your relationship? Do you have the respect? Did you lay down the boundaries? Are you comfortable in that space? Talk to me, Tobie.
Yeah, I definitely, in closing, feel like people always say that, love is blind, but I don't think in this particular situation that love was blind here. I think that the trust was exploited. I think the biggest betrayal wasn't the cheating. It was taking away the people's ability to make informed decisions about their own lives. You know what I'm saying? I think that, when you think about polygamy is not bad. Let's be clear on that. We're not saying that polygamy is a bad thing. Some people are able to do polygamy and live lives and be happy if that's what you want to do. But I think that it's the secrets, and secrets don't just hurt the person you're lying to. They force everyone around you to participate in a reality that they didn't get to choose. And I think that's where the problem comes in.
I agree with you 1,000%. And again, like you said, polygamy is not bad. However, don't make a decision for me. Don't make a damn mental decision for me that I had no control over. I want to be able to control what I can control. And I think what it does do, the benefit of it is if we're all in a mutual agreement, then we have understanding. We've agreed. You know what I'm saying? We take the cheating away. This man is honest with me. I've accepted this. I'm still living my great life. He's going to take care of me. He's going to put the respect on it. And life is great. I'm not here to judge you. But can we look at it on the flip side? And my girl Ash got that mic unmuted. I got to hear your voice. Come on.
No, I'm back. I don't know what happened. Completely went away. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, no, it wasn't the microphone being muted. It was literally the sound completely went out. I couldn't hear anything anybody was saying.
Well, that's okay.
Anyway, what did y'all leave off on?
Well, what we're leaving off on in closing is, where does that take a woman or a man in a situation and a mindset where they're going to agree on something to have mutual respect, boundaries, and understanding versus simply blatant disrespect?
Hello?
Say that again.
I don't know if I can say that again, but at the end of the day, what I'm saying is it's about having understanding, respect, understanding, and boundaries versus blatant disrespect. We're talking about blended families. We're talking about polygamy. And I think that when we're talking about that show, they disrespected the whole definition of what polygamy was. And what he tried to do was simply manipulate these women. Come on, let's keep it 100.
Yeah, it was a lot of manipulation. happening through that whole show.
Yeah.
So
Can you hear us still, Ashley?
Yes, I can hear you. It's echoing in and out. So I'm going to talk very little.
well, that's okay. We got your back. One team, one focus, one fight. Look, at the end of the day, what we want to hear from the audience is those questions that we put out there. Tonight's conversation was about blended families. How do you handle that? We know a lot of families out there are dealing with blended families when you're bringing children into the situation. How does that work? What is the respect? How do you take care of that child? How do you take care of your spouse? How do you make it work for everyone because it matters? And then the T was about that Netflix show bullshit, The Polygamist. Jonas, if you ever cross my path, sir, I don't know. I know you was an actor. But I'm liable to choke slam the shit out of you. You understand what I'm saying? Because you were disrespectful as fuck. Okay? I said what I said. Tobie, can you take us out and then ask?
Well, wait a minute.
What?
I do have another question that I would like for the audience to think about. What do we think about the brother? Like, how do we feel about his perspective in all of this? Because he carried the burden of all of this. He knew about everything and about everybody, and he didn't say nothing to nobody. Like, do we think that he's right for that? Do we think that he's good? You know, he's the hero in all this because in the end, he did take care of everything. He didn't miss no steps. Or do we feel like he was weak for taking whatever the brother threw at him, for allowing the brother to steal his girl, for, you know, whatever? What is y'all's perspective on the brother?
I'll give you mine. And mine is weakness. Okay, weakness. That man was weak. Okay, stand for something or fall for anything. I will lie for you, but not to you. As his brother, he should have been more supportive to let him know, like, look, we need to change this shit up. You don't just gotta bow to him. He held that job over his head, all that bullshit.
Yes.
But when he fired your ass, what was his loyalty? So loyalty versus being weak. I'll say it again. Loyalty versus fucking weakness. That's what I think. The brother was weak. He was loyal, but he was weak.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So that's all
he
I
was
got.
Loyal, but he was weak. You agree. And we haven't heard your voice, Ash. We've been talking about this. We've been on for an hour, 1 minute. We've talked about a lot of things. I need you to close us out because this is the shit that you do. Close us out.
We don't hear the echo. We don't hear the echo on our side. We don't hear the echo on our side.
Because it's echoing like hell over here. But anyway, no, I think that was some great information. And just, if you haven't watched the show, please go watch it. Hopefully we didn't ruin it for you, but it is a good show. And if y'all want to talk about it even further, we should for sure. But if we're going to wrap things up, I definitely want to make sure. First of all, thank you, ladies, so much. First of all, for holding down the fort while everything went haywire over here. Thank you. But outside of, yes, ma'am. Outside of that, we are so excited about you guys joining our social media accounts. We have more out there. We are now on YouTube. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, X, and TikTok as well. We're on TikTok. So there are a lot of videos out there. And if you guys want us to go live on TikTok, please go and follow us so we can start going live on TikTok. But other than that, we're going to wrap it up for the night. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Nah, I ain't letting you go. Ash, I want to give some toast tonight because I believe in celebrating my women. Ash, you do a phenomenal job behind the scenes. I've been looking at the clips, and if you haven't seen them again, she already told you. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. She is the mastermind behind all of that. All of the work that you put in, your body of work, toasted up to you. Tobie, we can't do this shit without you. All of the events, like she said, if you're still watching us from the couch, shame on you. We're going to be outside tomorrow. We're going to the Battery, and we're going to enjoy the big game show, and we're going to beat those guys' asses. But you do a phenomenal job. You keep everything in line, and Black Love Elevated would not be what we are without us. We come together. We have a mutual understanding like these polygamy relationships need to have. We have a mutual understanding. We understand what the assignment is. So guys, what's the assignment in your house? I want to leave with that, but I appreciate my ladies And I just want to say phenomenal job. I appreciate you.
Yes,
guys.
and let's not end this without talking about the swag that Elle be putting us on.
What?
Ash got the new swag on, you know what I'm
Oh, which
saying?
camera?
She be keeping us
Yes.
looking good. So
She does.
Yes.
She holds down the
Yeah.
fort for sure. When it comes to the swag, everything from the towels to the shirt
business,
to
yes.
keeping us in order, girl. You keep it together.
Look, when you look good, you play good. And when I go outside, I want to look good and I want to play good. And then I want them to say, Black Rock Elevated, what's that all about? Yeah, talk to us. Come join us. We just want real individuals, you know, because like we said, we're talking about love, relationships, and real life situations. This shit is not just for the average. It's for the ones that want to elevate. So that's what I got. I appreciate you guys. I can't wait to see the comments.
It'll be
That's
fine.
it for me.
All right, y'all. Definitely. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's go ahead and do that outro.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Tobie.
Toast, ladies.
Oh, I got an outro. Oh,
Well, that's Tobie.
this tab and make sure that y'all come out to the events we're gonna be having.
Yeah.
Y'all, we'll see y'all next time.
It's just not scripted. We'll see
Not
you
at
next
all.
time. Black Elevated.
See y'all later.
After Dark is next.